Welcome back in, everybody, to a Thursday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports, getting ready for the Eagles' wild card matchup versus the Green Bay Packers. Joined now by Garry Cobb, legendary Eagle. Garry, welcome to the show, man. Good to have you on here on this Thursday. How you doing?
Good. How you guys doing?
Good to see you, G. Cobb. You're a linebacker. You're a defensive guy, so I'll start on the defensive side of the football. If I told you at the NovaCare complex back in August, this was going to be the #1 defense in the NFL, what would you have said to me?
No way. Especially after the season got going a little bit. They just started out so poorly, but I guess it's really probably the most amazing development that I've ever seen in NFL, where a team was that bad defensively at the start. And to really just come into their own. And I tell you, the thing that I think the people that don't get the most credit is probably these position coaches.
Mm-hmm.
They've done a great job with them. If you just talk to the young players, you see how good of a grasp they have of their position. And they didn't have that at the beginning of the season. Of course, they weren't playing like it. But they've done a really good job of teaching, and I guess where Nick deserves a lot of credit too. And, of course, Vic, that they have done, they emphasize teaching, making sure a guy understands what he's trying to do. And then a lot of times, football is situational. What's your situation? What's the down and distance? What formation are they in? What does that formation tell you? And before a game, so you do all of this studying. You got to know, what do they like to do out of certain formations? And you see these kids, a lot of times, from the time I've been around the game, a lot of times some guys will leave the game and they still don't have a grasp of the thinking that's supposed to go into looking at what formation they're in. What do they like to do out of that formation? What is the down and distance? And a lot of times, you can narrow the play that's going to happen. Then if you can narrow the play that's going to happen, then you could start kind of almost being ready to jump the play you think that's going to happen, see? And now you got an advantage on the offense, see, if you are thinking properly. And that's good football, but that's smart football. And a lot of guys play the game and they're out and they still don't have a clue about playing smart football. They're just out there playing. They're big or whatever, and they can run, but that's not good football. Good football is when, as a defense, you see the good defenses. Man, they're all over the place because they have an idea what play you're getting ready to run, because you kind of showed them in their formation and just the study they've done and putting in a lot of homework there, studying your offense. They know the offensive coordinator and what he likes to do in certain situations, and they know what you like to do out of certain formations.
Garry, what player there has surprised or I guess impressed you the most? A lot of great stories on that defense. You look at all the Georgia guys who have, really turned the corner this year and being productive NFL players. You got Zach Bond. You got 2 rookies in the secondary who are playing like Pro Bowl level players, dare I say it.
Yeah.
Who's impressed you the most on that defense?
Well, I could say Zach Bond. I mean, he's been amazing. But then I could say Cooper DeJean. I mean, I see Cooper DeJean. He's out there telling the older guys, hey, he's identified the play. You can see emotion into the guys.
Yeah. He's got some Luke Kuechly to him. He's calling out plays. He's
going like,
this
dude's a rookie, man, but smart,
Remember that 4th and 1 play against Jamar Chase, Garry?
Come on.
That, to me, that play personifies what you were talking about. Not only – because it was Isaiah Rodgers, too, because Isaiah was an outside. He was the outside corner. He was in, I guess Slay was banged up.
Yeah.
And he had signaled to Cooper DeJean, if you watch the play, he signaled to go around. Don't come underneath me. Go on top of me.
Yeah.
As they went in motion, and they did that Andy Reid corn dog motion with the Triple Crown winner, Jamar Chase, who might be the best receiver in football.
Yeah.
And he came back, and Cooper DeJean was in his hip pocket, saw the whole thing coming. Isaiah Rodgers helped him out. The communication, that to me, that personifies this defense. And those are young players, a rookie and a guy who doesn't play all the time.
That's right.
And Vic
But
and Christian Parker had them on the same page.
beautiful stuff. Of course, I can appreciate that because I know that somebody spent a bunch of time in the room there, in that film room, studying this to where they're able to identify what this team likes to do. And they probably did it before. They did that same formation and everything, because the offensive coordinator, they try to not give up tendencies, but they all got tendencies.
Yeah.
There's things they like to do, certain situations, and they like to do out of certain formation. And they could try to mask it, but if you're around them, you're going, oh, I know what this guy likes to do. And the good teams, there's certain things they go to, like you see the Eagles with their running attack. Certain things they're going to go to. So, you got to be anticipating that if you're a good defense. And I have been amazed, but the teaching has been excellent. They teach. And I don't think enough teams realize, that the mental part and teaching guys. And if you do it over and over and over and over, even a guy that's not the brightest, because he'll still pick it up, if you keep talking about it,
Yep. Garry, coming into this game, Eagles Packers here in the wild card. Talk to me about how a defense changes when the Packers lose a guy like Christian Watson. Now, they're an interesting offense because they got like 3 or 4 different receivers over there that catch the ball. Christian Watson only had 30 targets, but he is their deep threat, and you lost that in him. How does that change your approach as a defense? What can you do differently? Does it give you more freedom to kind of run different things? Explain to me how that changes, how a defense approaches a game.
Well, you're going to have to wait and see at the game, like what Green Bay is going to do to make that adjustment without him, But I think that the Eagles, which is what they like to do, is they just kind of strangle you, meaning like they don't want to give up the deep ball. The fact that he's not there is going to allow the Eagles, it might allow them to play more zone, because they don't have as much area of the field to cover. And I could see where Vic might be thinking that way. And I probably would say that. But then again, Love doesn't really like to scramble a lot. Even though he's a pretty good athlete, he doesn't take off a lot. So, that's when that's when you can play man. If you got a quarterback who's a real good athlete and he's taking off all the time, if you're in man, and this guy breaks out there, the guys aren't going to do a good job of coming up to help on him. But if you're in zone, see, they see him breaking the pocket, see, so they can come up. So I kind of expect them to play. They're going to play, I think, a lot of man. I think they're going to try to double.
That's a bold prediction, G.
Yeah,
I never expect a Vic Fangio team to play a lot of man.
Well,
maybe a little bit more than normal.
You know what? I see a lot for him.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say he's not going to go,
Yeah.
But they're going to change it up. Let's say in certain situations where they can, they feel like they can take away, Jaden Reed, who he's going to be looking for a lot of time,
Yeah.
So I could see them doubling him. See, so that's what they would do. And when I talk about playing man, is doubling him to take him away. Because if they play zone, then it's tougher to take him away, And I think that Jordan Love's going to be looking for him even more, with the fact that they got their deep speed is out of the game. So, but I think the Eagles, for the most part, they're gonna play their game, and they do a very good job of. Well, first thing, of course, they got to stop that running game, and then they got Jaden Reed, really. So it's Josh Jacobs and Jaden Reed, pretty much the guys they got to stop in order to beat the Packers. But if they get the running game going, then that's trouble. But I don't think they'll be able to.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles have been great all year. They've gotten better in the tackling aspect. So, defensively, they've just been a good group, and they've really hit their stride. So I do think, and I kind of talked about it, the Eagles and the Packers are, eerily alike from the offensive perspective, G.
That's
They
right.
both have high-profile quarterbacks who they spent $50 million on, and they both scale back, and they both want to run the football all the time, like it's old school back in your day.
Yeah.
And I think at times, not with the Eagles as much, because they have a historic season from Saquon Barkley, and they just keep winning games. At times, I think it's hurt the Packers. Josh Jacobs, very good player, but he's not Saquon Barkley. He doesn't have the same explosiveness, more of a, 4 yards, move the chains type of guy.
That's right.
I think it hurts them. And they've got behind a couple games. They were down 28-0 to Minnesota, and then they're like, oh crap, let's start throwing the ball, and then they get back in the game.
Yeah.
I it's strange to me how they've relied on the running attack.
Well, this all says how they feel about Jordan Love.
Yeah, it says negative, right? I mean, if you do that,
yeah, it says you don't believe in him as much.
Yeah.
That's what it says. Even though you went out, you gave him the big money, you got these weapons in here for him, but you still don't believe him to the point where you give him the ball. So I think that that does say something about the way they feel about Jordan Love, and I mean, maybe they change things up a little bit. Maybe they give him the ball more this week, but I don't think so. I think they're going to try to run. They're going to play their game, and these teams, as you said, they mimic each other quite a bit, in the way they try to run the ball. But of course, Saquon has got that take it to the house ability, which makes him different. And the thing is I think having Jalen back. See, Jalen helps so much in the running game.
Oh yeah,
because what he does is the guy on the outside, on the backside of the run. A lot of times, Jaden's gonna keep the ball. Let's say he could run a bootleg on the backside, so that keeps that guy honest. So when Saquon hits it up into the hole, and then he cuts back, that guy is not there in the cutback hole. He's worried about.
Yeah.
Gotta
respect the
bootleg or the RPOs and everything. So you keep that guy outside on the line, and that's less guys that Saquon has to deal with. And that one less guy in that cutback hole, you see he cuts back into that hole. Boom. See ya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
+1. They call it +1 in the running game for a reason, because it's +1.
Yeah.
The quarterback.
Yeah. He and just having him out there. See, I in fact, I believe that he would have already broke that record if Jalen had been playing.
Yeah, possibly.
Gee, talk to me about Jalen Hurts returning from 2.5 weeks off. You know what I mean? Missing football. You played football, obviously, for a long time in the NFL. I always say to John, if I didn't do a show for 2.5 weeks, I'd be a little rusty. I'd come out. It'd take me a second to find my rhythm back. I'm not saying that's going to be the case with Jalen, but any concern on him and being out for 2.5 weeks, or how do you view that whole thing with Jalen returning to practice yesterday, probably set to go for the playoff game this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, there's reason to be concerned. I think, that he could be a little rusty. I mean, you've seen it in some of the games they've been rusty. They come out and the passing game is not fluid. So I think there's some of that, but that's not really the heart of the team. They get the running game going, then that's going to open up, makes the passing game a lot easier. And I would like to see them do a better job with the, play action pass, because, they get that running game going, and you put play action pass right along with that. You give the same look, then guys are going to be open, especially tight end. And, of course, you got some good receivers and everything. So I think that, he'll be all right, but he's going to be, you expect him to be a little rusty. He might be, but I think they'll be all right, because they're not really just resting on him to carry them. They're a team that is a running team first, and then they throw the ball. So, I think Jalen will be all right.
Yeah, I mean,
It better be.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
I'm with you, Jay.
You mentioned the play action game. I think that was a big talking point in the over the spring and the summer about Kellen Moore coming in, evolving things. That part of it really hasn't happened.
No.
You don't hear a lot of complaints because when you win 14 games, nobody wants to be the guy to complain.
Yeah.
But you've heard little things, and Jalen himself has said, it may not get you until it gets you, is what Jalen said. AJ Brown, we heard with the passing quotes, Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson, even some of the offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Why do you think it hasn't, from your perspective, why do you think the passing offense, not that it's bad, but hasn't been what people expected with Kellen Moore and AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with Kellen Moore and Jalen. I mean, that's those are the two guys going to be deciding. He's deciding on the plays, and Jalen's deciding who's going to ultimately get the ball, or is he going to throw it? And I think at the beginning of the year, those interceptions, I always years ago, I would be talking to Donovan McNabb and telling him, "Hey, man, I was doing the radio then, and he would be talking, man, such and such called you last night, and that guy didn't know what he was talking about." And I'm going like, "What are you doing, listening to the radio?" You know what I mean? Like, that guy is he works at a tire station, man, changing people's tires, man. What are you worried about what he says about you? But I think it's gotten into Jalen's head. You see the way he's going to take care of that ball. He was holding on to the ball. He's not going to throw any interceptions. And to start off with the interceptions, and I will say this, that if they don't turn the ball over, that gives them a lot better chance to win, even if he's not as quick to throw the ball. And he ends up, holding the ball and everything. Throwing interceptions will get you beat. So I do understand that, but Jalen has become very, very conservative when it comes to what he's going to throw and what he's not going to throw, and he's makes sure that he does not put the ball out there in danger, and that's been his priority. I think that I would like to see them, him be able to maybe not be as hardcore with that, but they've won with it. They've won 14 games.
Yeah. I mean, if you win, you win.
I mean, it's not pretty because you see Jalen, and then he takes off and runs with the ball, or he throws it out of bounds, whatever. But the number one thing, he's not throwing interceptions, and he's made it a point. And that's really, I think, in a way, it has hampered their passing game, though, because he's been very conservative. And a lot of times he won't throw the ball on time. He's not sure. I understand that. At the same time, I would like to see him, be more fluid with that. But you turn the ball over, you lose. That's the way it is in the NFL. That's the way it's going to be here in these playoffs. So I understand that. But I would like to see him get, you can take care of the ball.
It's a tough tight rope to walk.
Yeah.
Because you want to take care of the football, but you want to be explosive, and to be explosive. You got to trust your guys. The back foot's got to hit the ground. Ball's got to come out on time.
AJ doesn't like that.
I know. And you got the receivers. You got the horses in the room to have the dominant passing game. I mean, he's got to let it fly. Jay, what's your general confidence level coming into this game, man? Eagles, Packers. I think it's a pretty good matchup. Obviously, Packers are the 7th seed. Birds have been dominant all year. I don't think the Packers have shown dominance like the Eagles have at times this season. What's your confidence level coming into this game for the Birds?
I feel good about it. I feel like that this team is going to they're going to be in. If they do lose, it's going to be a tight game, whatever. Because I think the defense is very dependable, so they're not going to give up a lot, and it's just a matter of their offense being able to execute in the red zone when they get down there. They need touchdowns. You know, you get touchdowns, you know, you win. You know, you're just kicking field goals and everything. You're keeping the other team in the game. So I think ultimately that's what it's going to come down to. And hopefully the Eagles will be fluid in their passing game. See, now, if they were to get to the point to where, like we're talking, it's 1, 2, 3, and that ball is out, and they get fluid and take care of the ball, you know, you're looking at a team that's got a chance to win the whole thing, you know. But I think ultimately that's what it's going to come down to is when they do play, let's say, Detroit, a team that's scoring some, they got to get more out of the passing game. But I think against Green Bay, they can beat them with the running game, and you know, and I think that's what they're going to do. And I think they're going to stop them because Green Bay is just erratic. I think, you know, with Jordan Love, you know, he's not the most consistent quarterback. So
yeah, he's
I think
tricky.
I think they'll get after him. So I feel good about this game. I think that I feel they're going to win this comfortably.
Jay, what's your concern level with Jake Elliott, man? I mean, it's been I don't know if you're in the city. It's been windy in Philly the last couple of days.
I know.
The forecast right now shows some wind for the game. I mean, in playoffs, Gary, every point matters. The kickers become more important in those games. I'm not feeling too good about Jake Elliott. Can you make me feel any better, Gary, or are you right there with me?
I can't make you feel any better. You know, playoffs and kickers, that doesn't go well with me. You know, I was playing with I was playing in Detroit, and we had a good team. You know, we had gone to the playoffs. We were out in San Francisco playing against a team that had a guy named Montana, you know, Jerry Rice and those guys. You know, we had them beat. All we need is we got the best kicker in football, Eddie Murray, Pro Bowl kicker.
He's a great kicker, Eddie Murray. Great kicker.
All we need is 39-yard field goal, and they go home. We out there at Candlestick Park. We got them beat. All we need is the best kicker in football we got here. I was the right up back. I snapped the ball. I look up. Oh my goodness. 3 seconds ago. Anyway, he missed the field goal and we went home.
Yeah. Boy, that's tough.
Oh man.
I remember
this one home for you, Gary.
Cobb,
I said this one gets home for you, G Cobb.
I covered. Now kickers have gotten so good. I think people forget people like Eddie Murray. You mentioned Eddie Murray.
Yeah.
I covered Gary Anderson in '98.
Mm-hmm.
He was on the verge of the first perfect season in NFL history. Had not missed a field goal, had not missed an extra point until the NFC Championship game. It might have been 38, 39 yards, somewhere in that same range. You're like, all right, it's over. He missed it. Bad snap. Probably wasn't even his fault, but he missed it. Man, those high pressure situations.
Yeah, you know, he's part of the team. And then kickers are all different. You know, some kickers, not a lot of them, can blend right in with the team. They're one of the guys. But a lot of kickers,
they're off to the side.
They're the kicker. Okay. Yeah. So you never able to get on the same page with them and everything. And at the same time, though, they got that game. They're gonna play a big role in that game. Yeah. You know, and so
Jake's part of the team, though. You know, Jake. Yeah. I mean, Jake is what struggles. Jake is like great at everything. He's like the best golfer on the team. Anything but high eye-hand coordination. Best ping pong player. He's great at everything, and all of a sudden you see him struggle. It's strange to see, but
yeah, you know, and the thing is, he's been so good for so long, you know.
Yeah,
and then for some reason, but a lot of it is the confidence. It's mental, you know. And if a guy loses his groove just a little bit, you know, then his confidence is not there. And you know, the confidence, a lot of things, especially, you know, like if you're talking about, you know, golfing, some of these type of skills, you know. And that's why really, you know, also, you know, quarterbacking, of course, there's a skill into it. And so you need a lot of confidence. And that's why, you know, let's say with Jalen, how he He won't let the ball go early, till he's sure, he's not going to risk that ball. So a lot of times he holds on to the ball, and you're going like, man, what is going on with you, man?
Yeah.
But you have to realize that, hey, he threw those interceptions early in the season. He let everybody know, look, I am not going to cost us this game. And that's that's the way Jalen plays.
Well, I think it was also the staff like pounding it into his head and saying, all right, we gotta
He also got crushed for it in the media. I'm not sure if he listens to the media, Gary, but he got crushed for it in the first 4 weeks.
Listen to me. Well, I know he's got a little lady. Well, him and the little lady, she's probably hearing it. And if the little lady gonna hear it, she gonna let you know.
Oh gosh.
That's true. By the way, I asked George Mailata if he knew what his PFF rating was. He was like, I didn't know, but my wife put it in the group text. She's bragging about it. So
that's a part of
it.
Yeah.
A lot of times, I joked and I was saying, like, you look at this young lady over here and she's talking to one of the guys and everything. She don't realize she's on the team. She don't realize it, but she's on the team because a lot of times the lady's talking and everything, the guy's going to find out. And if it ends up messing up his head, it's because she doesn't realize she's on the team. Don't be talking to him about that, but they can't help it. So the guy's going to find out because his lady find out, she's going to tell him, I can tell stories about guys because, the guys are human. They got families. And when
people forget these guys are human beings.
They're
they
human
gotta
beings.
Go, they might have, Nick was talking about that yesterday when he was talking about connection.
Yeah.
Some guys, it's not like college where everybody's together and everybody's hanging out.
That's right.
Some guys got families, some guys got kids, some guys get married, some guys aren't, some guys are single. It's a lot more difficult, but sometimes you got to go home and shovel snow. It might be some bullshit like that.
The real world,
the
real world's out there, and so sometimes that enters into things. But I really I think this team's got a chance, and ultimately it's going to be. They're going to need at some point. They're going to need that passing offense to be fluid, and I hope they're going to be able to be because they're good enough to do it. But it's going to get to the point to where, Jalen is confident enough where he's not going to throw picks at the same time. Let that ball go. Let these receivers show everybody how good they are. And that's what I think is going to depend. That's going to come down to it. And who knows? They might get to the Super Bowl and then they need it. But they're not going to be able to just ride the running game all the way. They're going to need the passing game to contribute.
I keep saying the same thing, Gary, but maybe they do. Who knows?
Yeah. Thus far. We'll see. We'll see. But that's the fun of it. But we'll see.
All right, Gary, gonna have to give me your prediction for the game here. Eagles, Packers, and then on top of that, and you reserve the right to change these picks at any moment in the next couple of weeks. But on Birds 365 today, I want you to give me who comes out of the NFC and who comes out of the AFC to represent each conference in the Super Bowl this year.
Unfortunately, I think it's going to be KC again over there.
Yeah.
Well. Because and people talk about their offense. It's their defense that really impresses me. They play good defense, man. They play, and all these things we're talking about, they do well. They communicate, with passing this guy off and everything like you're playing basketball, Somebody setting a pick, and they do a great job of communicating, and I can't say enough about, they over there, but their defense to me in the playoffs, man, they play good. They play good defense. And I would have to go with them over there. Over here right now, these guys got to show me, man. I've really been surprised by Detroit, man, with the way they played defense the last week. I'm going, now, if they play like that, man.
Yeah, they're tough, especially in that building. I mean, Detroit, those people have been waiting for a winner for.
That's right.
And
long time.
It is rabid there.
So I would have to say they're the favorite, man. I would have to pick them right now. Like the Eagles got to show me they can go in there and beat them in their house. That means, and the thing about Detroit is they scoring on you when you getting off the plane.
Yeah.
They're gonna get their 30 plus, Gary. I don't care who they're freaking.
They didn't even on the Sunday night game. They didn't even play well offensively. And you look up and Gibbs is scoring his fourth touchdown.
That's right.
And they didn't play well.
They didn't even play well. So the Eagles got to show me, boy. I mean, because and they, man, you talk about aggressive with their play calling. My goodness, man. You want to take that knife off my throat, please. That's the way they play. And so somebody got to go in there and beat them, and right now they got to be my favorite, man. I got to give them. They play. They play it, boy. They're going after you. Like I said, when you're getting off the plane, going, who, man, those guys are already attacking. So I would have to say Detroit, man. Right now, the Eagles got to prove to us they can go in there and beat those guys. Now they could, because they're good enough, but that passing game, see, can the Eagles have their passing game flowing like they'll need to, because they're gonna have to score 30 points probably, or
Maybe
at least up
more.
in the 20, 25 or 27 points, something like that.
You like the Birds in this game versus the Packers here, Gary?
Yeah. I like the Birds in this game. Yeah, no doubt. I think they're gonna win comfortably, like 27 to 13 or something like that.
I think people are sleeping. I think people are sleeping on the Packers, G-Cup.
Yeah, well,
you know what? Here's the game for me. CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Oh boy.
Xavier McKinney. Who comes up with the big pick wins the game.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
two big time playmakers. Who makes the big time?
The thing is, the Pack, they don't have their best corner,
Yeah, Jair's been out for a while. They're playing well though. They got the 5th ranked defense in the NFL.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jair Alexander's good corner.
I would love to see the Eagles, boy, get into a flow. So everybody's they're utilizing all these weapons, because they haven't gotten into a game where they've utilized all of them in a game, where I guess, you have to say, somewhat in Pittsburgh game, but to see them utilize all of these weapons they've got, that's what's going to be fun if before these playoffs are over, they're really utilizing all those weapons and really showing everybody how good they can be.
G. Cobb, thanks for joining the show, man. Great getting you on here before the playoff matchup. We appreciate it, my friend. We'll talk to you again soon.
See you in New Orleans.
Yes, sir. Sounds good. Okay. All right. Thank you, Gary.
All right, buddy.
See you, buddy.
Good stuff, man. From Gary Cobb here on Birds 365. Love talking to G. Cobb. G. Cobb played for both the Eagles and the Lions, so he's got some dogs in the fight here in this playoffs. But good hearing from him, and good having him break down that defense. I thought it was interesting what he said about the defense at the start there, John. I thought that was a good question by you about the defense going from bottom to the top, in 1 year with Vic Fangio. It was
such a great story.
It really is.
Gets lost in the sauce talking about the offense all the time, but number one, if you would have told me the defense would be better than the offense, I would have laughed at you. But it has been. It's amazing. If you think about it, Brian Johnson got run out of town for having the 8th ranked offense. They have the 8th ranked offense this year. Same thing. Number eight. Winning cures all, obviously. So it doesn't matter if you win at the end of the day. But, G. Cobb brought up, and we've been talking about it all year, just the clunkiness of the passing game, the lack of fluidity. And that's the whole point. There's no reason it should be like that when you talk about the receivers and the people. And now Dallas Goedert's back. Like on paper, you look at the Eagles and you go, what the hell do you do? On paper, but it hasn't been that way on the field. Still very good, but it hasn't been that way on the field.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I thought, the other thing Gary said that was interesting to me was the story of the kicker. You can almost see on Gary's face that that kick still pisses him off to this day, man. Kickers are important in the playoffs, John. We need Jake Elliott to come in confident, man.
Yeah. And Eddie Murray, for people, he was one of the great kickers of his generation. So, you know, the Lions would have those years. G just mentioned one of them. They'd have an up year, but most of the time it was a bad team, to be honest. But one thing they had was a kicker, and it was Eddie Murray. And he was great. I'm trying to look. Yeah. 4-time All-Pro. 1980s All-Decade team. He was really good.
You could see the anger on Gary's face, still thinking about Eddie Murray with the kick.